Hello everyone, Mr. Choose here with Bear Algebra. We're going to talk about factoring a GCF out of a polynomial. So if these videos are helpful to you, give it a thumbs up and like it. You can follow me on my YouTube channel and you can see lots of videos. So let's look at example 1 after explaining what we want to do. We want you to factor each term completely. Find the GCF by circling the common terms and factoring that GCF out of the polynomial. Alright, so in example 1, the first thing you have to do is explain or understand how you're going to factor this term completely, this term completely, and this term completely. Well, the way that I taught this when I was teaching pre-algebra in the middle school, I taught people to use a factor tree. So let's do our first term. The first term is 26y squared. So a factor tree would say, what is the lowest prime I can factor out of 26? Well, that's 2. And it's 2 times 13, and 2 times 13 is 26. And then the y squared, these are not primes, these are just factors of y, because we don't know what y is. So I can go over here and I can say, I know that 26y squared is 2 times 13 times y times y. That's what it is. Okay? So next I'm going to take my next term, which is negative 32y. And the first thing you have to factor out using a factor tree is my negative. That's negative 1 times 32. Now I take the 32, which is 2 times 16, and the 16, which is 2 times 8, and the 8, which is 2 times 2, or 2 times 4, sorry. And the 4, which is 2 times 2. So I know that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times negative 1 will give me my negative 32. And I just bring down that y. So I know that underneath this now, I can put a negative 32y. And I know that equals negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 times y. All right, now I'm going to erase these two factor trees because I'm running out of board room. And I'm going to do the 44y to the 4th. So the 44y to the 4th, the lowest prime that I can divide 44 by is 2. And that's 2 times 22. And the 22, the lowest prime I can factor out or divide evenly into 22 is 2 times 11. And 11 times 2 times 2 will give me my 44. And we have a y times a y times a y times a y. So underneath these two, I can write the other term, which is 44y to the 4th, which equals 2 times 2 times 11 times y, 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 y. Okay. So now we have to go to the second part of what I have written in red here, which says, circle the common terms. So if we look at this, I dropped one of my markers, my blue-black one. I can circle a 2 in every one of these. You notice how I made a circle around it? So I know that my GCF is going to be 2 times whatever else is common. Well, here's a 3, a 2, and 11. I can't circle them. It's got to be in all of them. And then there's nothing here. This negative 1 and 2. The 2 and the 2 appear, but there's no other 2 here, so I can't circle that. But look, I've got a y, and a y here. So I'm just going to put a box just to show you that that's different. You can't always use different things if you've got a lot of common terms. So that's 2 times y, which is 2y. Okay, so now to factor the GCF out of this polynomial, I'm going to take this GCF times, now, what do you multiply by 2y to get 26y squared? Some people can see this quickly, but if you can't, look and see what has not been marked as common. 3y. That's not a 3y, that's a 13. So that is 13 times y. And reversing the distributive property would show you that when I multiply 2y times 13y, I get 16y squared, and that's true. That's how I found that I had made that mistake by putting a 3 instead of a 13 there. Okay, so now I go to my next one, and if you don't know what 2y times what number equals negative 32y, you can look and see what hasn't been circled, and then multiply those terms. Negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is negative or minus 16, and there's nothing else there. So that means if you reverse the distributive property here, 2y times negative 16 will give you negative 32y, and yes, that did work. Now we have to find out what you multiply 2y by to get 44y to the fourth. Some of you automatically know it. If you don't, look back and see what hasn't been circled. 2 times 11 times y times y times y is 22y to the third. All right. So now this is the factored form of this. I factored the GCF out. And the GCF out went out in front, and then I had the 3 terms of the polynomial on the inside. Now, we could take and check this and use the distributive property. 2y times 13y is 26y squared. 2y times negative 16 is minus 32y. And then 2y times 2y to the third is 44y to the fourth. And look, this number and this number is the same, which means you did it right. Okay? All right, so now we'll move on to example 2. In example 2, we still do it the same way, and you can still use factor trees if you need them, but I am going to do it without a factor tree here by just writing all of the prime factors. All right, so I'm going to do each term. So I'm going to have my 12ab, and I'm going to write all the complete factors. And then I'm going to have my negative 8b squared. I'm going to write all the factors. And then I'm going to have my negative 16bc, and I'm going to write all the factors. Then I'm going to circle the common terms. So I'm going to circle, and then put a box, and then I could put a triangle. But usually you're just circling them all. I was just trying to emphasize how this worked here. All right, so I know that 12 is 2 times 6, and 6 is 2 times 3. That's how I would do that without a factor tree. All right, 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12, and then A, B. That's a complete factorization of the first term, 12ab. Now, of the negative 8b squared, remember you have to do negative 1 first. And then 8 is 2 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. And then b squared is b times b. Then your negative 16 is negative 1 times 2 times 8, 2 times 4, 2 times 2, b, c. Now I'm going to circle this in the way that people usually circle it. They usually don't use one circle and then one box. Usually they say, all right, I need to find and see if there's a 2 in each one or a -1 in each one. Well, there is a 2 in each one. And here it is, so I circle it. That's the way it's usually done. So the GCF equals, I circled it, so I use it as a factor. Now I can't do this 3 because there's no 3 in these two. I can't do the A because there's no A here, but look, there's a B. And I circle it. And then I can't do the B or C because it's not in the other two. So the GCF is 2B. All right, so you remember how you factor out that GCF now? You take the GCF, 2B, and then I say, what do I multiply by 2B to get 12AB? Some people automatically in their head know it. If you don't, look and see what hasn't been circled. 2 times 3 times A is 6A. So when I multiply 12AB, yep, that worked. And then if you don't know what you multiply by 2B to get -8B squared, and some of you do, but if you don't, it's okay. Look back at what you haven't circled. -1 times 2 times 2 times B is -4B. So 2B times -4B will give you -8B squared. That's right. And then what do you multiply by 2B to get -16BC? Some people know, but if you don't, just look. -1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times C is -8C. So this is the factored answer of factoring this polynomial and getting this GCF times this polynomial. And remember, if you need to check it, 2B times 6A is 12AB, using the distributed property. 2B times -4B is -8B squared. And then 2B times -8C is -16BC. And if you look, I get my original problem up here. All right? So it's taken some time, but I wanted to explain this step by step. Now I'm going to write up the challenge problems that you can pause this and work, and there will be a link to the solutions of these two challenge problems. All right. So factor the GCF using primes. Those are your challenge problems. All right, challenge 1 is 25x to the third minus 45x to the fourth plus 65x squared. So there's challenge 1. All right. Hopefully you're writing that down, and you're going to pause this after I write down the challenge 2. Challenge 2. So challenge 2 is 26 y squared plus 32y minus 44y to the fourth. That's the same one as this one, isn't it? Can't have that one, so that's not challenge 2. Sorry about that, I rearranged these. So let me get the fourth problem that has not been used. All right, let's do 38a squared minus 47 AB squared plus 76 AB. So I just made that off the top of my head because there was an issue with my challenge 2. So try these 2 challenge problems. There will be a link up here at the top that will take you to the solutions of these 2 when you pause this. Work them out. There'll be a playlist down here of factoring polynomials, and then there will be other videos or playlists on the side. Remember, give this a thumbs up and like it if it helps you, and pause this, work these, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel over here. And remember, I'm Mr. Chew, and I want to help you learn the algebra. I'll see you soon in my next video.